Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Long Ash Podcast. We honestly haven't done one of these type of episodes in a long time. However, I met Erik Calvino in August of this year in Chicago at the Monte Cristo 90th launch party at 8 to 8 Cigars, which is now Casa Monte Cristo. And I never met him before. And we sat down next to each other at lunch and we were talking about everything under the sun, cigars, movies, sports.
Yep.
So I bugged him to hop on here, and he obliged. But I appreciate you coming on here, Erik. Thank you for coming on today.
No, man, thank you. Yeah, it was great that day. Like you said, we'd never met, and
No,
we just hit it off. We were talking about everything. I mean, once you started talking about the Miami Hurricanes, I was like, "Whoa,
yeah,
what does this
yeah,
New Jersey guy know about the
yeah.
Canes?" But
Sports and I told you I was a Knicks fan. Your face dropped, and you're like, "I'm the Heat."
a little bit, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
But Erik is um what is your official title at Cigar Snob magazine? I feel like we have actually interviewed your sister for Women's Month,
Oh,
Women's
cool.
History Month, March of 2024, with one of our influencers who were here, and it was such a fun interview. But what's your official title at Cigar Snob?
So my dad and I started the business, and I'm the publisher and editor of the magazine and our social
Okay.
media
Yeah.
content and all the I don't know. I don't want a title. I want less work is
Yeah.
what I want.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Just
way too much.
your title is Everything Under the Sun, Cigar
It's a
Snob
lot,
magazine.
you know.
Yes.
It used to be where we could just put out a magazine every other month, so 6 times a year. Uh, and then we started a little bit of social media here and there, and then we started a podcast and then a YouTube channel, and now we have a weekly show that we do on social media. I don't the weekly newsletter. It's just way too much. It's way too much, but it's fun. It's fun to uh, it's a fun job. I'm not gonna. It's a lot of work, but it's a fun job.
Yeah.
Obviously, I get to smoke incredible cigars all the time and
Yeah.
hang out with some incredible people such as
Yeah,
yourselves. So,
thank you. No, thank you. Yeah, traveling and you guys get, you have the luxury of going to cigar festivals, events. Um, I just was kind of because I've only been in the industry 6 years, and I still feel very new to it. I still feel very, I don't know if you noticed, like when, at lunch or when you guys were talking, I kind of was just sitting back and absorbing everything. One, I
yeah,
don't want to sound like an idiot, but two, there's a lot of there's a lot of history there when we're sitting, when you're talking with Rafa Nadal of Aging Room and
yeah,
Altadis and Oliver of Altadis. There's a lot of history there, and I think it's best to kind of just sit and listen and hear, someone who's been in the industry for quite some time kind of talk about the things they're seeing. Because
yeah,
I don't know if I came in, to me, I feel like I came in at a very interesting time. And when I say that, it a lot of people would tell me, oh, there were certain brands that really kind of weren't all that, but then they took off like around 2018, right? So I started in 2019, so I was kind of able to see that the success of certain brands that were always kind of under the radar, right? Or I
yeah,
feel like I'm now seeing you know, not a resurgence of like the boutique boom, but like some boutique brands kind of being in the mainstream, mainstream media, if you will. So I feel like I've come in a very weird, like not a weird time, but an interesting time. And with also celebrities are really into cigars now.
yeah. And
More than
and
ever, in
celebrities
my
have
opinion.
been, but you're right. That was a very interesting time. Not, and I think you just like buried the lead there. But you had COVID right in the middle of that,
Yeah.
and COVID did have an impact on the cigar business. And so yeah, it was definitely an interesting time to come into it.
Yeah.
We're This is our 20th year with Cigar Snob, and we were in the business a little bit before that. Um, and so yeah, so we've been in it for a bit.
So what I guess inspired you and your dad to start Cigar Snob magazine?
So we started a brand in I think it was 2002. 2002, 2003, we started a brand called Casa Calvino, which is my name. And so Casa Calvino, and we did a website to go with it, and we were selling cigars through there. And then I started to look into growing that. I was an IT, I was a programmer. So I was a consultant on the road Monday through Friday. I would be at a client site. So so it was and so started to look into how do we grow this thing without getting a group of reps to go and manage a group of reps. My dad was also a programmer, so we really couldn't. We'd have to like maybe hire a sales manager and do all that, and we weren't thinking about doing that. And so, how do we grow this thing? So I started to look at creating a catalog for it. Back then, catalogs were still the biggest part of the retail business. If it wasn't brick and mortar, it was catalogs.
Yeah.
Online was still very small
Very
in
new.
comparison.
Yeah.
So CI had started, and there were other websites that had started, but they were still very much in the growth phase. And so I started to look into the catalog thing, and then I started pricing that out. I thought, man, that's expensive. To make any sort of dent, it would be expensive. So then I started to think about what if this is while on the road consulting. And so I started to think about what if we put like stories inside the catalog? What if we did like interviews? Because I had very good contacts in the cigar business. Um, and so what if we did some articles and interviews that we put inside the catalog to kind of help sell the cigars that are in the catalog? And so I kept like ruminating on that and kept developing that idea. And then I got to the point where I was like, I don't even like this because like, you just keep like working it out in your mind and you're like, I actually don't even like this business because I don't get to meet any of the customers. I don't get to smoke with them. I don't get to do any of that. And so I was like, I actually don't like it that much. And then so I've been looking into the catalog thing and the printing, and I already had sort of numbers for that. I was like, and I don't like the existing options for magazines that are out there. Why don't I start a magazine? And so I kept working myself out of the online cigar retail
Yeah.
business and working myself into this magazine, which is a crazy kind of idea, but it was how do I stay in the cigar business without getting a team of reps or anything like that, have fun and be able to do something different than what's being made today. So
Yeah.
I thought that if I stayed in the retail side, I would just be another one of those online brands or whatever. And I don't know, I wanted to do more than that. And I thought that there was so much going on, especially here in South Florida. There were so many events going on, and no one was covering them. So I thought that was an easy way to get some quick wins, right? To be at these events, take pictures, put them in the magazine, and now the brand that spent the money and the time and the effort to go to that cigar retailer and do that event, they'd get more value out of it than just that event that night.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally agree on that because if
So,
depending on when you said you were doing an issue every other month.
yeah, we still do 6 issues a year.
Yeah, 6 issues a year. So, I mean, it's still something where if they end up, getting any type of publicity through the magazine, if there's an event, let's say last month, and then the issue comes out this month, um,
Yep.
it's still like that event or their exposure is still living on. And I think that is a very interesting thing in today's day and age where everything is instant, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Everything is, I got to go here. I'm going to post about it now. I'm going to go live, or I'm going to, I got to go to an event and then I got to get the video done like the next day or 2 days now. With a magazine, it's kind of, brings you, it's like kind of a time machine or a portal back into like that period of time when
Yeah.
you wrote it, right? And I think that's really interesting for cigars because the history is so rich and so vast that if you have your very first issue or you have your 100th issue, let's say, or you have an issue from 2007, you kind of get to go back and see, like, and you get to look at your writing style, the magazine style in general,
Oh, yeah.
and I think it's interesting, and to me, it's, with most things, it's a lost art, but I feel like in an industry that is really all about the rich history of it,
Yeah, the
I think
romance.
there's a lot, yeah, romance. I think there's still a lot of people that value what you guys are doing. You know, I know. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
I think having a magazine and writing and that was a goal of mine to be, oh man, like, you know, I love basketball. So like writing for Slam magazine was like a dream of mine in high school, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And I think you're still able to kind of withstand the test of time with how things are kind of turning in terms of like media, right?
Yeah, it's tricky, but print still has a sort of intrinsic value in the minds. I don't know about this youngest generation that's smoking cigars, but from that generation back, it still has a value. There's something that goes on in our psyche when we look at something printed. Like here's a copy of the magazine, right? When we look at something printed, it's like someone went through the trouble of printing this, because what happens in our subconscious is we're all content creators now. The the new the the guy that just the newest newbie that just got into cigars can still post a video right now talking about his cigar and what he thinks about it, even though he may or may not know squat about it.
You can curse on here, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
know.
I know what
I
you're
uh,
saying. No,
I,
but I
I
know
hit
what
the
you're saying.
brakes there for a second. uh, and so we're all content creators, and so in our mind we know that we can produce that content, but we don't think we can do this thing, right?
Yeah.
Or we know that it would take a lot to do this whole thing. And so in our minds, we still give that more value.
Hmm.
And so that's an interesting thing that happens. And I think there is more value, right? Because we do take the ratings very seriously. We have the same five panelists. I don't think we've changed in the last 15 years of panelists. So it's the same five guys that have whose taste evolved just like yours and mine,
Yeah.
and we're all constantly tasting, but we know that we can trust them and their opinion because they're experienced cigar smokers who think about it. Because a lot of people smoke cigars. Most people do not think about it while they're smoking. They're just smoking and smoking, right? I can't remember. I can't smoke cigars anymore without thinking about it. It's even when I do it for pleasure. Even if I'm on the golf course and smoking a cigar, I'm there's things like there's checklists going on in my head
Yeah.
about that cigar, and you're like, dude, you can't, like, you're in the you're outside right now on a par three. You can There's no way that you can appreciate everything that's going on in
How's
the
it
cigar, but I'm
drawing?
still
How's it
doing it.
ashing?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's just, I think you're just ingrained in that, in the system that you have created in your company of being like, all right, when you're smoking something, this is what you have to think about, you know,
yeah,
I think that might come from just not coming out in an age where, yeah, like you said, anyone could just pop out a phone. Yeah, this cigar it tasted like chocolate. Hang up. It could get 10 likes, 100,000 like you don't
yeah,
know, right? There was a little more. There was a little more to it.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, a little more process and
a
a
little
little
more
more like
process. Yeah.
professionalism to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you How have you you know, you said you started this 2000, like 20 years ago, you said?
So yeah, the retailer we
Magazine.
started in about 2002, 2003, but the magazine itself we started in 2006.
2006. All right. So you're coming up on your 20-year anniversary.
Yep.
What if there's one thing that because I'm sure in 20 years a lot has changed, but has there been one specific thing in the cigar industry that has changed drastically since you started Cigar Snob magazine?
Well, the amount of brands from when we started to now, the growth in the amount of brands is obscene. It's unfathomable. If you would have told me 20 years ago how many different brands there would be today, it's unreal. And then out of those, there's a lot of good cigars. You know, when I think back to 20 years ago, there was a lot of cigars that would not make the cut, you
Yeah.
know? And so the strength of the cigars has changed a lot. So we've seen that increase over the years. and just the intent of the cigar makers. I think it's like everybody had or everyone has pushed to the next level. Not everyone, but the ones that are really trying to do it right, they're like I see the operations. Like for example, um, when my father's cigars, when they were El Rey de los Habanos in Little Havana, they were making a tiny amount of cigars and they were doing the best they could, and they were making amazing cigars. I
Mm.
mean, amazing. But then you go look at their operation now in Nicaragua, it is stunning. I mean, it is just like it's a level of professionalism that they didn't have back then. And Oliva was Jose Oliva was my best friend, growing up. So this guy and I've seen everything from that company.
Wow. Wow.
So and so again, just the level of growth and professionalism and attention to detail that they have is so that has changed a lot on the retail side. I think that these these smoking bans in different cities where you I don't know if you probably don't remember this, you maybe never lived it, but you used to be able to go to a dive bar and smoke cigars in almost any city, you know?
My parents, they opened up a restaurant in 2003, and right before they opened it, they banned smoking cigarettes in restaurants and bars, and they were legit like, "Oh, this is gonna hurt business." You tell someone that now, they're like, "How could smoking cigarettes, not being able to smoke cigarettes inside hurt business?" Because everywhere, when they were in their 20s and 30s growing up, they got this, they could smoke wherever they wanted?
Yeah.
So I only know a little bit about that. I never experienced it. I only know a little bit about that through, like, my family's business.
Yeah, so that those sort of bands sort of birthed the cigar bar, because in the past, any bar was a cigar bar,
Yeah.
right? And so that's a change.
So
That's
there weren't a
something.
lot of lounges then, you're saying, pretty much, right? Like, there were, like, I'm sure there were
Smoking
lounges,
lounges,
but
yeah, like, yeah, places that you could just chill out and smoke cigars, but in terms of, like, a bar, you just went to a bar.
yeah, okay.
You went to the bar and you smoked cigars there, uh, and most places were okay with it. And there was cigarette smoke in the air, and there was
Yeah.
I mean, it was, uh, but that has been a big change, right? So now if you wanna have a drink and a cigar, you have to go to a cigar bar, and not everyone's neighborhood has one. So, that's been a change that, you know, is good or bad. Obviously, it's good for the cigar bars. It sort of funneled all the business, but on the flip side, I like being in a like not now that I'm married and have kids, but at a certain age, if I was getting into cigars, I would love to just hang out at a bar where there
Yeah.
are, women hanging around that aren't cigar smokers. Right now, I go to a cigar bar. It's mostly cigar dudes,
Yes. Yes, it is.
which obviously, again, for my stage of life, it's fine. But for a young guy,
Yeah, someone
uh,
trying, yeah, exactly.
well, and so I'll give you another. So the price of cigars has obviously increased a lot over the years. And I was just in London a month ago, and I'll tell you that this really got under my skin. So in London, for you to smoke a cigar indoors, you have to go to the sampling room, which is attached to a cigar retailer. It's called a sampling room. It's really just a lounge. But because those are so expensive to keep, they're only in the highest, most luxurious places. So imagine if the only place you could smoke indoors, there's terraces all over that you could smoke. But in terms of smoking indoors, to smoke a cigar indoors, you'd have to go to like the Ritz or the Bulgari, or you have to go to these very high end places. Uh, and that's fine, right? We think on the surface, we think that's fine, but it's not, because what happens to the 25-year-old guy who just got out of college, has his first job, and he's like, sees the cigars on social media or sees his friends smoking or wants to get into it because his dad used to smoke cigars
Mhm.
and he wants to try to get into it. You think that guy's going to go to the Ritz?
No.
Well, no, especially when each cigar is after all the taxes and the elevated cost of things over there, 50 to $75 a cigar after everything for a normal cigar. And so you're not going to get into it that way. You're just not. Even at 35, 40 bucks, you're not gonna get into it because you don't know anything. So you're not gonna pony up that kind of money when you don't know enough about it. So you need the help of a tobacconist, right? You need that help. So you wanna go indoors somewhere where some guy can guide you, but not at that cost. It's too much. It's too
Yeah.
much to get into the hobby. So you need, you know, so that's what I mean. Like once we start getting those prices elevated, there still have to be options for the guy coming into the hobby.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I
so
no,
that's
I agree. Sorry, continue. Yeah,
no, 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 no,
I agree. I think like when you're coming into the industry, you're I don't know about you. Like for me, I was very I started smoking cigars regularly when I was 21, and then I got into the industry when I was 29. Yeah, when I was 29. So when I was 21, I was intimidated to go into a cigar shop, but I had the good fortune of, the cigar shops not being such as the one that you just explained, where it's going to have to cost me an arm and a leg to go into a luxurious one. If I was 21 years old and went into like a luxurious cigar lounge, I would be even more intimidated. I would probably be like, yeah, no, I smoke, I'd be lying about what I smoke, or instead of being like, I'm new,
yeah,
this is kind of what my palate is, and then someone guiding me. And if the cost of cigars are going to be that expensive, there has to be some alternative solutions
yeah,
in terms of where you can smoke or who can guide you on there.
yeah. And so that's a big part of our sort of ethos in the magazine. We try to make things number one fun, informative, and accessible.
Yeah,
We don't want it to be inaccessible either from a like limited standpoint or from a cost standpoint, right? So we want to cover all of the bases. If we're gonna talk about cigars, we want to have cigars in the whole range, not just in that super
hmm,
exclusive range. So we're always looking at that. We always try to have fun. We always try to make everything that we do fun, right? That's like if you watched our Win Stuff live shows on Friday, that's all it is. It's just a fun sort of game show that we're
yeah.
playing, right?
No, I love the Win Stuff Friday because your guys' energy's up, especially at the end of the week when everyone. I don't know about you, I got two little kids at home, so by Friday, I'm done. I'm cooked, But by Friday, you guys are up and you're dancing, you're having a good time. I think it's a really good way to bring in the weekend, and I think it's nice to. It's just it's different than what you see like throughout the industry, right? Like, and I'm
Yeah.
starting to see more of, I think some people, and I'm not naming people or names here specifically. I think a lot of people try to take themselves seriously because
Yep.
there's one hand where cigars are like they're luxurious. They're meant for boss status. The an Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone or this or that. It's meant to represent certain things, and then so some people could be like, "Ah, it's a little too serious," right? Right? And then
Yeah.
there's other times where, like over here at JR, I'm trying to do funny cigar skits, and then for you guys are on live, and it's you and your sister and you're having a good time, and it's so different. So I think there's just so many different faces of the industry, which
Yeah.
is good too. I think it has to have the different personalities because I think it represents also the type of cigars that are being created. So there's some cigars that are for, a bachelor party where we're going to be smoking $50 cigars a pop, or bundled cigars where I'm going to, enjoy them poolside on a Saturday and just relax too, So I think having kind of the variety of cigars, it's also the variety of, I guess, the entertainment or the
Yeah. Delivery.
appearance. Yeah, the
Yeah.
delivery. Yeah.
Yeah. I think from the very beginning, we were aiming for that from day one. Maybe it's because so I was born in Cuba. My sister and I were born in Cuba. Grew up here, but we were born there. And so we were around cigars since birth.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandfather smoked cigars in the house every single day. I mean, when I was a little kid in the summers, I would go stay at their house, and every single morning I'd get on my bike and I'd ride out to the nearest cafeteria, which is in South Florida. It's like imagine like a small restaurant that has a little window where you get your Cuban coffee, and in that little window they would have cigars. And so my grandfather, he smoked Padron. This is back when Padron didn't have the anniversary series or anything like that. It was very inexpensive cigar made here in Miami, and uh, and so I would ride my bike in the morning and get him his two cigars, and then they'd give them to me because they knew they were for him. He'd put it
Yeah.
on his tab, and then I'd ride back, and then he'd smoke his two cigars for the day throughout the day, just doing stuff around the house. He was a cook too, um, so cigars were always part of our lives. And so I think that because of that, because we never had that stigma or that pomp about cigars, they were just an everyday item in our lives. We came at it a little bit different than other publications or media outlets. We just looked at it different, and so all that mystique and all that was not there. On my grandmother's side of the family, they grew tobacco in Villa Clara, so like tobacco is it's part of like you
Your
know somebody
identity.
that
Yeah.
grows tobacco, and you know somebody that makes cigars, and so the mystique kind of goes away. I think that and I get the mystique when you live up north, maybe, or you live again in London, or a place where this is an exotic item that comes in and you rarely get it and all that whole thing. But it wasn't that for us. It never has been,
Yeah.
you know? And so
Yeah, it was
when I
just a part
talk
of
to
your
cigar
life and
makers,
growing up. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, when I talk to a cigar maker, it's as if I'm talking to an uncle of mine, you know? It's really not there's none of that mystique or that fanboy thing. It's
Yeah.
not. I'm talking to a guy that very well could be my uncle, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
so, yeah. I mean, I was taught to smoke cigars by Jose Oliva, his brothers, and his dad. And
Wow.
so I mean, you want someone, I don't know, there are bigger legends, but Gilberto Oliva Sr. is a legend in this business. And that's the guy, he's the first guy that gave me a cigar that just knocked me out because I was talking too much crap, you know? Jose and I were talking crap about cigars, and we didn't know anything. We were kids. And by kids I mean whatever. We were probably 19 years old or so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And and so we're like, "Oh, this cigar is good, but maybe it needs a little bit more strength or this or that." And I guess I kept talking about the strength too much. And he looks over he was in the backyard. He spent most of his time in Nicaragua, but he would come to visit his family, obviously.
Mhm.
And so he's like, he used to call me pichon, which means small bird. And so he goes, it's a term that older Cubans use to address
Yeah,
younger
yeah,
guys.
yeah.
And so he goes, pichon, you want something stronger than that? And I was like, yeah, sure, you have it. He's like, yeah, give me a second. And he went inside the house and he brought me a cigar, and it just killed me. I mean, killed me. Like, shut up, man.
Do you
Like,
know
that's
what
what a
like
strong cigar is. It
was
was
it
one
any
of
specific
his.
one of his?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And
And that's funny
so
because when you're 18 or 19 years old, no matter what, I would say more men than women. Men are always like, I'm out of high school. I'm
yeah,
a man now, and like,
yep,
yeah, I remember when I was 19 or 20 years old too, being like, no, I could handle my liquor. I could handle this, and it's like,
sure.
no, like, and then you have a grown man being like, here you go, and then it just knocks you out.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I needed to be put in my place,
yeah,
and
oh
I
yeah.
appreciate it, and I learned a lot that day.
But
Uh,
it's nice. I'm sure he had a kick out of doing that too,
oh,
right?
he was
Kind of
laughing his ass
humbling
off.
you, but then he probably knew that you would appreciate, you'd be like, oh wow, that's the real deal. But no, that's see, I know I said like I briefly met you over the weekend, but I didn't know that about like when you say you grew up with tobacco around you as so natural as it is, and you're right, it's not really natural up here. You have your farms and your tobacco farms up in some in
In Connecticut,
Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania, yeah.
some in Connecticut, but it's not the norm up here, right? So
Yeah.
there is some sort of mystique to it. But
And I
when
get
you're
that, but I'm here to like usher in the sane view of this thing.
Yeah.
It's there's not that much mystique. It takes incredible attention to detail
Yeah.
and passion to make these things and to make them right, and knowledge, right? And it's a cigar making is interesting. It is it's the like the perfect intersect of art and science, right? There isn't
Thank you.
one, yeah, there isn't like you can't just go scientific on it. So in other words, when I say that, it means when when they blend this cigar, let's say that they like to blend with Robusto, and so they have their percentages of how much Ligero, how
Yeah.
much Viso, how much Seco, and all that. You can't just go, all right, cool. So if we're gonna make that in a 6x60, we just need to increase the percentages. The percentages stay the same, but we just need to increase the amount. It doesn't work that way.
Oh,
You
it's like
can't.
cooking. It's like cooking.
Yeah, there is an art to it
Yeah.
at that point.
You're whatever dish you're making for yourself can't be the same when you're making it for a family of 20.
No.
Right? And I think that's kind of, yeah, and I love what you just said there. That's why I freaked, because I'm always saying, as I'm continuing to learn more in this industry, how much of the science is behind it. And when I say that, I mean the temperatures in curing barns, where to angle the tobaccos, where to even grow them. What regions do you grow them if you want them to taste a certain way? But on the flip side, there is and like cigar manufacturers, um, people who grow, who plant, like people work on the farm, they are like artists. Like
Yeah.
there's an art to it. They have a specific skill set that not everyone can do. And I think that's what kind of defines you as an artist, right? But you're right, it is a perfect balance of art and science.
Yeah.
And if you think,
Um,
I feel like if you overthink it too much, just like when, you're a creative guy, if you're overthinking a piece you're writing or anything like that, it's not, I can't, I don't know about you, I can't ever force myself to write. Maybe for work,
yeah.
if like, hey, there's a deadline, then you kind of, you have to force yourself. But I'm trying to write stories and stuff. I've tried to force myself to do it, and nothing comes out good. It's when you're kind of at your most relaxed or your most ready to do
Yeah.
that. And I think a lot of manufacturers, when they're blending cigars, maybe if this tobacco didn't work for this specific line, well, let's use some of the seconds possibly, and see what we can create over there. And I think that's also knowing your tobacco.
Yeah. I mean, these guys, um, the guys that really do this and do it well, uh, they're impressive, man. Like they so the other thing that we bring as a magazine is that we have access to these guys. Number one, we speak their language, but we also speak your
Important.
language,
Yeah.
you know?
Yes. Yeah. No,
And
no, no.
so
It's
we're in
important.
a really nice spot there. So when I speak to a guy like Pepin or AJ or uh, any of these guys, George Padron,
Hmm.
they speak to me in their language. George is a bad example because he speaks perfect English, but these other guys they speak to me in their language, and they tell me things that they wouldn't tell a normal journalist because I'm curious about it. I've known them for 20 years,
Yeah.
and they can say it however they want to, however they feel comfortable
Yeah.
saying it. So I've been with these guys, and they show me things that you're like, does anybody know that? Does anybody know that that's how you do that? You know? And
Yeah.
it's and I learn something every single time. You would think that after going for 20 years to cigar factories over and over and over for those 20 years, we haven't stopped visiting factories. And you would think that there's all right, you've got a pretty
I've
good
seen
knowledge base.
everything. Yeah.
It's insane. I sat down with not to bring him back again, but Pepin the other day. He's like, "Look, let me show you this. I've never showed you this." And he showed me what the central vein needs to look like at the right when the leaf is at the right time to be stripped. And he's like, if it doesn't look like that, you're gonna lose too much because you're gonna rip it and it won't be ready. And it was like, how come you never showed me that? And he's like, I can't show you all my tricks, you know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Little by little,
It's crazy. That was the other day, and I've so my father's cigars, I've seen those guys from when they've just started in Little Havana. Like that was our first interview that we did with a cigar company back in 2006. And so the interview was there in their little Havana factory. Pepin was when I got there, he was in a tank top because he was rolling cigars.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but he liked rolling cigars in a tank top. I don't know.
Because it's
So
hot, maybe,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so he was in a tank top, and so I got there and he's like, "Oh, we got to take the pictures. Okay, let's go." And then he put on his guayabera that he had hanging on a pile of tobacco. He had it. They had these like racks, and that's where they
Yeah.
had the tobacco. Uh, and he had the you know what a guayabera is?
The hat, right?
The no, the guayabera is the
The
classic traditional Cuban
white
shirt
shirt?
with the pockets.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
a linen shirt with pockets
Yeah. It's
and like
mainly
these
white, correct?
little
Or it could be any
pleats,
color?
usually white. Yeah, but it could be any
Yeah.
color. But anyway, he went and got his guayabera and put it on, nice and pressed, ready for the pictures. But I was interrupting his workday. You know, it was this tiny factory with I don't know how many they had. It was maybe 8 rollers, and it was all Cuban style rollers. So in a Cuban style rolling, you know, have you been to the factories in Nicaragua or Honduras or Dominican Republic?
I've never been to a factory before.
Okay, so
I've
in
only
those
been to a
countries,
few I've only been to a few fields. I've never gotten a chance to do
okay,
factory yet.
so when they roll cigars, they have a buncher, which is the person that is making the bunch, and then they have a roller who's applying the wrapper. They work in pairs. In the Cuban way of making cigars, it's one person. One person manages the whole process. And so in their little Havana factory, it was that way. It was like a Cuban style. They didn't bunch using a book fold method or accordion method. It was all entubado. So the filler is rolled into those little like straws, and then that's how they make the bunch.
That's one person doing all of that?
Yep, they make the bunch, and then they put that to press. And while that one's pressing, they're applying the wrapper to the other ones. And so anyway, I saw that factory grow from that, and I saw this man go from, he was a superstar in Cuba, Defects, and making unbelievable cigars in Little Havana. And then they opened their factory in Nicaragua, which is a small one still. And then they opened the big one, and now it's insane. Now they have one in Honduras as well. It's
Do
pretty cool to see that growth, you know.
do
But
you get to experience a lot of moments like that? Like, just
yeah,
kind of seeing something in its infancy, and then it get to be what it's become because of just the relationships you've built?
yeah. I mean, obviously the Oliva one is the one that I've seen the most. I mean, I smoked the very first. I smoked from the very first box of Oliva cigars that ever came into the U.S. So they didn't have a factory at that point. They were making so Gilberto Oliva Senior worked for Plasencia back then, and so at the Plasencia factory, they were he had his own line that he started making, and then his kids here in the U.S., Jose, Jeannie, Carlos, and Gilberto Senior, they started the company to distribute the cigars that their dad was making at the Plasencia factory, and so that very first box, that's the first cigar that I smoked, like
Wow.
the first cigar that I smoked end to end that day. So that was like a life change, like a flashpoint. So my sister was going out with a friend of Jose's, and so they had a party, and so Jose said, he's like, "Look, this is the first box of cigars that we've brought into this country. I want you to smoke it with me." And so I used to play sports. I thought that I was going to be an athlete when I was young. I wanted to be an athlete,
Me
and
too.
so I never smoked.
Yeah.
I never smoked anything. I was trying to like save myself,
Be
right?
clean as yep, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I didn't smoke cigarettes, I didn't smoke weed, I didn't smoke any of that, and, or cigars, and so when he tells me, "I want you to smoke it," now at this point, I'm already in college and, clear that I'm not gonna be an athlete. So so, uh, so I'm like, "Yeah, but I need some help. I don't know what I'm doing here." He's, "Don't worry." So he gave me a little crash course, and that day it was a Gilberto Oliva, it was a white label, gold letters, it was a number 1, the size, and I smoked it, and that day I drove home in like 3rd gear the whole way, just just chilling. I was so relaxed, and I was not used to that.
Yeah.
I've always been a point A to point B. How fast
Right.
can I get there? And and that day I was so chilled, and I got home, and I was like, man, that was awesome. The next morning, I was like, let me see how I feel about this the next day. So the next day, I called Jose, and I was like, dude, that's my thing. Like I want more of that,
That's
you know.
awesome.
And so that was, so yeah, of course, I've seen that company grow from that to the behemoth, that
Yeah.
international
Oh,
behemoth that
yeah.
it is today. Like we were just in the trade show in Dortmund, Germany, Intertabac, and Vandermeer Cigar Family, which now owns Oliva. It's massive. It's one of the biggest booths in Intertabac, and so to see that trajectory is pretty cool. I've seen all of them. Rafael Nodal,
Mhm.
when he started with the Oliveros, I've seen his trajectory. Yeah, I've got a ton of those. Rocky's another one. Rocky and I are really good friends.
Nice.
Um, Lido, yeah, I've seen all these guys. Um, the growth is really cool,
That
and
yeah.
they're the same guys, and that's what I love about them.
I mean, that's I think that's what makes them kind of in that category of like one of one, right? Or the most sought after, the most popular cigar brands out there because they haven't lost sight of who they are, and the fact that they love doing what they're doing. Maybe like I said, I'm new to the industry, so I'm a very naive person. I like to believe all the good in everything. um, Even when I know there's not good, I try to believe that, there's good, but I haven't really met anyone in the industry that, and people we've been able to interview here, you could just tell the love they have for it. And it comes through the cigars, it comes through what they're creating, but it also comes through when they're talking about it.
Yep.
Like you just said, you had that moment where you were driving home and you were like, this is it. Like
Yep.
this is what I want to do, and I think that's kind of it's very real and it's very authentic. And I think you see a lot of that through the industry.
Yeah, and by the way, when I said this is what I want to do, I didn't mean I wanted to start Cigar Snob at that time. I meant like
You
I
just want to
wanted
be
to
with
smoke
cigars.
cigars. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Sorry. Yeah. To
just to
clarify that.
clarify,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
I moved to New York, and so rather than buying cigars at a store, I would just order them direct from Oliva. So my apartment in New York had, because the only, the place, not the only place, but the place I smoked the most was on my balcony.
Yeah.
So people would walk into my apartment and be like, what the hell's going on? Because there were boxes and boxes and boxes, empty boxes of, back then, my favorite cigar from Oliva back then, um, was they were called, it was like the Grand Maduro. It was like it's what today is the G Maduro box pressed.
Okay.
So when they came out with that, they had the Oliva Grand Cameroon and the Maduro version. And so they rebranded everything, and that's when it became G. But before it was the G, man, that little short Robusto box pressed,
Got
man,
the job
I
done.
would smoke so many of them. They were like chiclets. I would just smoke
Yeah.
one and then pop the next one. So
Yeah. I'm sure you could smoke a few of them a day, right? If they were
yeah,
that
yeah, they were
easy to
like,
go
I don't know, it
down.
was like probably 4.5
Yeah.
by 50 box pressed. And so there was a bar a block away from my apartment that had this like back room area that was outdoors. And so that was every night. It was either in my balcony or at Moran's, just in the back room there smoking cigars.
That's awesome.
I turned a bunch of people in well, at that point, I had moved to Hoboken, New Jersey.
Yeah.
And so I turned that entire like mile radius,
Into
Hoboken.
Olivia lovers.
Yep, I was constantly smoking everywhere.
Nice. um, what so you just gave us a lot of like memorable stories right there, but what has been like one memorable, either interview or feature that you had in your magazine throughout the 19 years?
There, so I gave you some right in terms of like Pepin,
Yeah.
but a cool one that we did was Matt Booth. That one, he had just started Room 101 back then when it was with Camacho. and so he tells me, "I'm gonna fly you out to LA. Bring a carry-on only. Bring a photographer. Make sure you guys pack light, and that's it. I've got your flight to LA and your flight back." And it was like 4 days. And all right, cool. So what are we doing? I mean, I want to prepare for the story. He's like, "You're not preparing for anything. I'm not. Just come in. This is that flight. This is your hotel, and I'll meet you there." So I was like, "All right. I guess that's where it is." So I get Manny Iriarte. You know who that is? Manny Iriarte, the guy from Opus X Society.
I've heard of him. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So he's
I've
probably
heard of
the
him.
top photographer, top designer in the
Mhm.
cigar business. He does he did all of the Opus X watches.
Ooh,
So he designed all those and the Opus X Society. So anyway, so Manny was our photographer. And so we fly out there, check into the hotel, and I jump in the shower after the flight. It's a long flight, and it was at night. So I jump in the shower. I'm like, I don't know. I guess tomorrow we're gonna go do something. I don't know, you know. But I jump in the shower, come out. I'm drying up, and my phone rings, and it's Matt Booth, and he goes, "Hey, you ready?" I'm like, yeah. I mean, I just got out of the shower. Just gotta get dressed." He's like, "Cool. I'm downstairs. So come down and bring your bags." Just checked into the hotel. Like, what am I bringing my bags for? So, all right. So I grab all my stuff. Manny, get your stuff. We go downstairs, get into a car, drive out to an airport, and we're on a private jet to Vegas. And so
wow.
now we're flying to Vegas, and then it just becomes one long weekend. We have dinner at Bouchon, which is Thomas Keller's place. It's like the most insane 18-course meal.
Jeez.
Go to clubs, I mean, it was just an awesome, awesome trip, and it was a real fun story. I should figure out. I should get the team online to post that one day. That was a really fun piece. It was so memorable because I'm always the one that plans the crap out of everything. Like I'm kind of OCD in that way,
Yeah.
so I try to like over plan things. And this was just bring your stuff, pack light, and be ready to go. And we didn't stop. It was just four nonstop. I got back on the flight back home. I was like, what? What
What?
the hell just happened?
Yeah.
We met like Michelin star chefs. We met
Wow.
all kinds of people. We went to his like the place where he used to make the jewelry in LA.
Yeah.
And there was some, I don't know if they were, I think they were Armenians or dudes that barely spoke English that were also there making jewelry. And then we started doing shots of whatever their native drink was, and it was such a fun trip. Matt is a good time. He's a good friend. But yeah, that's a memorable one, man. It was
Nice. Yeah.
we
No.
called the story "Straight No Chaser," something like that. Yeah,
No, that I mean that I've had a good fortune of like meeting Matt just through Zoom during COVID when we would do videos and stuff. And I'm not surprised that yeah, one of your stories involves him because
he's
he
such a
just seems like
character.
just a great time,
Love that guy.
and it's interesting, like you said, you're the one that's always trying to like you want to plan stuff because you want to make it look, you want to make
Yeah,
it look good. And I kind of feel that way when I'm going, to work events too. The past few events, people were like, "Hey, why don't you just like have a beer and a cigar and hang out?" I'm like, "I'll do it when I'm done with my work, right?"
yeah.
But
I
I feel
noticed
like,
that at the Monte Cristo event,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you were
yeah,
not enjoying anything until later
yeah, yeah, because I was
when we
just
just sat down, and then it
yeah, and
was
we were all talking, yeah, because I just wanted to make sure I got everything down, and maybe that'll change as I get older, honestly. But I just,
no. It's a
you
good way to
know,
be. If you're the guy taking the shots, then yeah, you
yeah,
gotta.
yeah. I don't want to, I, in my opinion, I've been brought there to do a job
Yeah,
and whatnot. Your case was Matt was telling you from the jump, pack light.
yeah.
Don't ask any questions. In his way, he's saying don't ask any questions, and he showed you that he showed you a great time in Vegas.
Oh
So,
man, the we also went. I left that one out. We went to Nobu because he was really good friends with the executive chef at Nobu,
wow.
and so it was just insane. The stuff they were bringing out was like, how are we? Who's paying for this? Like,
Yeah.
this is insane.
Yeah.
He's like, don't worry, this guy's my buddy. I'm like, "Phew,
Okay then. All
all
right.
right,
That's funny.
yeah.
Um, so what is something about the your magazine, Cigar Snob magazine, that people, I guess, rarely ask you about, but they you wish they did, or something that they don't know about that you wish they did?
Yeah, I don't know. After 20 years, I think that it's all pretty much out there, but our ratings process is a little bit different, I think, than the way other magazines do it, or other outlets. Like for example, most websites, they know what they're smoking, like bloggers, which is fine, but that informs your your um your opinions of the cigar. It does. If I know what I'm smoking, I have a preconceived notion. It's very hard to just pull yourself out of it. And so we smoke blind when we're doing ratings, and that's critical. We also do it a little bit different. We're not the only people who smoke blind, but when you see a page of ratings, like so that page,
Mhm.
so that has 6 cigars on it, right? But when we tasted these, we tasted them together, and the bag that had these in it had like usually 8 or 9 in them instead of just six.
Yeah.
And so only the top six make the page. So sometimes people say, "Oh, but we sent you these cigars and you didn't rate them. Like what did you just like get the cigars for free or something and not do anything with it?" Like, no, we rated it. We put it into the grouping of ratings. It didn't get up into
Didn't make the
the
cut.
page.
Yeah.
Didn't make the cut. So that's a different. I don't think people do it that way. I know most people don't group them, and we group them by like strength slash wrapper. Sometimes with certain sizes, it's hard to do it. So you kind of like open it up a little bit more. But for the most part, like Toros, Robustos, Churchills, you'll see that all of them are Maduros, or all of them are Habanos, or all of them are shade grown, because we're trying to compare those guys to each other,
Yeah.
not not comparing this Connecticut shade brulee from Soda Mesa to the Sin Compromiso from Soda Mesa. Those are two completely different animals. You
Completely. Yes. Yeah.
almost can't compare them, even though when it comes to the top 25, we do. At that point, we have to. They're all together, being tasted
Yeah.
together, still blind, but being tasted together. But for the ratings during the year, we do it that way, and that's the idea, is to give you a frame of reference so that you're not bashing this cigar because it's mild, right?
Yeah.
So you're giving it a chance to shine amongst its peers, right? And so our job is to put together a group that gives you a good representation of that type, right? That type slash size. And so that's something that we do different than most. But more than anything, we take the ratings process very seriously. We don't. We see the changes. Like for example, when a company changes their wrapper, we know right away.
Yeah.
We know because we've smoked that cigar a million times, and even though we smoke it blind, and once we give it the ratings, afterwards we find out what was in the bag. And when you find out, you're like, "That was a cigar XYZ, uh, number 3 in that group." There's no way, because that's not that wrapper. You
Yeah.
know, like, are you sure? Like, and then we're like going back and looking at. No, that's it. Okay, well, holy crap, they have completely changed the wrapper. They're not buying it from whoever they were buying it from before, or something happened to the crop. That tobacco's not the same. So, it gives you a really cool, unique view of the cigar when you're smoking it blind. I would recommend that even just newbie smokers have a friend. Just if you're at the shop, if you're at JR shop, and uh we're in Whippany. You guys you're
Yep.
based in Whippany, right?
Yeah.
So have a friend just go into the humidor and grab something and give it to you blind.
Yeah.
It's so different, man. And I love the playing the game of what do you think that was? Where like that's a daily occurrence here at our office. It's we're smoking something blind, and we finish the group. You're like, well, what do you think number 6 was? You
Yeah.
know,
That's what I love
and
about the Drew Estate Freestyle.
what was
Um,
that? Yeah, that's
the
really
Drew
cool.
Estate Freestyle,
Unbelievable.
I've done it the past few years. We've been fortunate enough to, like, get a kid up here.
Yep.
We do a podcast episode, and, this year I did it by myself, and I was totally wrong what with my guess, but, we all up here, a few of us had a chance to smoke them because there was a few cigars in there, and I made my guess, and someone's like, "That's not a bad guess," and then it ended up being wrong. But yeah, it's kind of we've done a few videos, nothing like you guys. You guys are the experts with the blind taste testing.
No, it's
But
just we
we've
just do it every day.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you become, very well in tune with it. But we've
Yeah,
done some fun videos where it's blind tasting, and then some people doing it like we're like, all right, so is this a Mexican San Andreas wrapper? Yes. Then he starts kind of like, all right, if it's a Mexican San Andreas wrapper, let me kind of like narrow it down. So it's interesting. And I think that really is able to develop your palate like
for sure.
tremendous. Like when you kind of take I don't even know if you want to call it bias, but when you take away the band or any information about the cigar and you just
Yeah,
kind of smoke it, that might be interesting to see. I personally think more people would would enjoy cigars
yeah,
more rather than, "Oh, this is a cigar from a brand I might not like or I've had before, they weren't, they're or if they can't really pinpoint what the wrapper is, just by the look of it, but then they start tasting it, smoking it, getting certain notes. I think it changes people's opinions tremendously.
yeah. On our podcast, we also when we have the full episode, we just released an interview only episode called Share Smoke. But most episodes have a perfect pairing segment, and in there, what we do is we have a lot of booze. I mean, this is a tiny little bar here, but we
A
have a
lot of
ton
booze.
of booze in the back. It's
Yeah.
crazy. We have it looks like a bar back there.
Nice.
It's too much. It really is. Like there's no way you can get through that.
If you need help with it, man, just, let me know.
Come on down, man. Honestly, it's an insane amount. But for the podcast, what we do is we know what cigar we're smoking because we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So that part's not blind. Uh, but then on the perfect pairing segment, we have my sister go to the bar and pull 3 bottles of the same type of spirit. The only thing we know is that the alcohol by volume has to be either level across the board or ascending.
Okay.
So that's the only thing we
Those are
know
the
that it is.
requirements, yeah.
So let's say we're gonna do bourbons, and so we know that she's gonna pull bourbons, and we know that the alcohol level is gonna be going up or flat, and so that's a lot of fun because you get to smoke, the cigar, and now you're trying to find the perfect pairing, or which one of these 3 spirits pairs best with it, and that's really cool. I mean, we've had situations where you're like, wow, I hated that spirit. Maybe you hated it with the cigar, or maybe you just hate it because we try to tell you like, okay, on its own I would have this, but with the cigar I would
Yeah.
have this, and um, and sometimes we're really surprised. Like I thought I loved that whiskey, and turns out I don't.
I don't with
I
this
like,
cigar, yeah.
yeah, I like the branding of it, and I like the idea of drinking that, but maybe I actually don't like that whiskey as much as I thought. So that's really cool
What
too.
is your favorite pairing with a cigar? Does it determine the time of day or, um
That's a good question. I do a lot of those,
yeah,
and so I like so high alcohol is hard on a cigar. It's very difficult to have a cigar that can power through, a 58, a 60% alcohol. It's really hard. Um, so I like to go bottled and bond as the highest alcohol if possible, but I
mm,
love high ABVs. So sometimes I'll do an Elijah Craig, but I'll get like a Alma Fuerte from Plasencia or a Sin Compromiso or You know which one I love too with whiskey? The Espinosa Laranja Escuro, which has the
Yeah,
Brazilian wrapper. That one with a high alcohol whiskey works as well. But preferably bottled in bond, so that's 100, 50% alcohol,
yeah,
uh, and a powerful uh, Habano. I love that combination.
yeah,
Like 100%, 100 proof, and a powerful Habano, like a my father. You know, I like a lot of my father stuff.
yeah,
Uh, Oliva Melanio, Oliva Melanio with a really good rum.
yeah,
Oliva Melanio was almost like, what, not by design, but holy crap, it pairs so well with a really good rum. I know that it's hard to find really good rums sometimes outside of New York, Miami, Chicago. It's hard to find good rums in a lot of places, but if you can find like a Zafra, um, or Zacapa, those really good sipping rums with a Melanio Churchill, I'm good for the day there, you know?
yeah. No, that sounds great. I've never had rum with a cigar.
Yeah, a rum like this is a Safra. Again, I don't know what markets, but man, when you come to the office, you got to try that.
Definitely. Yeah, a rum with the yeah, I could just imagine a rum,
But it has to be a really good rum. Not, I don't like rums that go over the top with added sugar. I don't like
yeah.
that cloying
I don't like when it's
characteristic.
too sweet. I like the
No,
natural sweetness of a rum, and it adds when you also are doing, like, a rum mixed drink, that's their sweetness adds to that. But I I could just only I'm visualizing and tasting it now, like, a sweet rum with the Melanio. I bet that combination is just like you said, you're good for the day.
yeah, you
Like,
know what
you're
is another really good rum from Central America that doesn't have added sugar? Flor de Caña. If
okay.
you do like a Flor de Caña 18, that that rum is, it kind of, that one and Zafra to me kind of straddle the line between sweet and traditional. Rums, don't want to make it a rum podcast, but
No, no.
rums
No,
break
no,
down
you're
into traditional, which are more dry, and then the sipping rums that tend to be sweeter. So think of Diplomatico, Zacapa, Centenario. They're on the sweet side. Um, and so Flor de Caña kind of straddles that line, and Zafra does too, straddles that line between sweet and traditional. And I
mhm.
love that. I love that with,
I think I just have to come down and then,
yep, let's
do
do
a
it.
pairing with you. So,
You know what? At
um
Puro Sabor, do you know about the festivals?
yes. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
the Nicaraguan festival, Puro Sabor, Flor de Caña is one of the sponsors, and they bring out a barrel of, I think it's Flor de Caña 25,
Wow.
and they pour it from the barrel into your glass, and that, it's tough to beat that.
That's yeah, you can't beat that at all.
Yeah.
So,
So
well,
yeah,
I
man.
appreciate you coming on today, man. I really do.
No, dude, my pleasure. It was
It was
great.
great talking with you. It's so natural and it flows and, um, I mean, I just admire everything you do. You
Oh,
and your
thanks,
family
man. I mean,
do.
we work our butts off over
Yeah,
here,
I mean, you could
but
tell. You definitely can tell. Could you kinda let the audience know where they could follow you, with your
yeah, yeah,
website or Instagram or
yeah. So the website is cigarsnob.com. Uh, on our social media, it's Cigar Snob Mag. And Fridays, every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, is Win Stuff Live. We literally give away two prizes. You don't have to do anything other than answer the question. Be the first person to answer the question correctly, and you win the prize. All we do is we ask you for your ID to make sure that you're 21 and older,
and real, yeah.
and a real person, and your address, and we ship you the thing. I mean, that's it's as simple as that, which is
That's
really
awesome.
cool, and it's grown. That's a lot of fun. We have the podcast. You can find the podcast anywhere that you get your podcast, Spotify or Apple or wherever. Um, the magazine, you'll find the magazine in just about every cigar retailer in the country. But you can also subscribe. It's $18 for the year. It's very, very inexpensive. Um, we send 6 issues out to your house every year for $18, which is unheard of. And that you could do cigarsnob.com and go to the subscribe button and you could do that. Yeah, man, that's what I got.
Awesome. Thank you. Like I said, I appreciate you coming on again. This was a lot of fun to just talk with you and hear stories
No, man,
and
thank you.
whatnot.
Honestly,
So
thanks for having me on.
no, no, we gotta do this again soon for
Let's do it
sure.
whenever you want. But next time you got to come down here.
Yeah, yeah. I could always tell my wife, hey, I got to go down to Florida for work, babe. I'm
Yep,
sorry. So,
we'll figure it
but
out.
yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, thank you, Eric,
All
again
right,
for
man. Thank
coming
you,
on,
Chris.
and I appreciate it.
All right, guys, take it easy.